Greetings, Virginarians. It is me, Ludi. I come from my daily cow hair licking session to bring you the very first development diary for EU5's flavor content. That's right, Paradox has decided to go full on forum warriors and tell us exactly how much content EU5 is going to have at launch. Something that I think a lot of us really wanted to see, and I'm glad to see that Johan and the development team for EU5 at Paradox Tinto decided to show us. In this first Tinto flavor, he explains all the overall arching content, what we can expect from the game itself, as well as we have some more sneak peeks into previously unreleased information in the comment section that we're going to go through. So if you were worried about EU5 having no content at launch, guys, it's going to take 5 years before you can play it. No, trust me, no. It is very much so a lot of content at launch, as we can see from today's dev diary. So let's get straight into it. And before we actually start talking about what Pavia said here, I want to say, because I know a lot of you are wondering, if you want to have the exact same hairstyle as me, go to the Finnish barn Perkele and ask for Betsy, the cow. She got you covered. Pavia starts saying that today we're not looking at a country. Surprise! Today instead we're looking at the types of flavor that we'll be having, basically what kind of content we get from EU5. And we have an outline over here. We have international organizations, situations, disasters, events, government reforms, laws, policies, estates, advances. Basically, these are things that we have already from EU4, but there's more than that, of course. The parliament is going to be a much more important part within EU5 than it is within EU4. Works of art. We have characters and artists. This is basically similar to how it is in CK3 as well as Imperator Rome. Not as in-depth as it is in CK3. More similar to how it is in Imperator Rome with some additions, I would suspect. Buildings, units, ships, cabinet actions, diplomatic features, and religious features. These are the main categories, and then they actually outline each one of these categories individually. International organizations basically is a new system available in EU5 which they use to represent different types of organizations. Example, the Holy Roman Empire is an organization that constitutes of the members of the Holy Roman Empire, be it republics, monarchies, theocracies, and so on. There's both unique and generic organizations. So the Catholic Church, of course, is an international organization. All the religious groups are essentially international organizations. There's like the daimyo system, which is a unique one to the Japanese. The Mandate of Heaven, a unique one again to the Chinese, and so on. This also makes it a lot easier for modders to work with their international organizations and create their own international organizations when the game comes out, because it's basically as easy to mod as EU4 is. We see here one of the international organizations, the Guelphs. The leader gets 0.05 prestige. Members get their own bonuses, and we have the members here: the Kingdom of Naples, Papal States, etc. Guelphs is one of the factions in the Italian peninsula that are vying for supremacy. And as we have actually a tooltip here, are a group of Italian states who align itself with the interest of the Papal States and the Pope in Italy. 1337 sees Italy as a divided nation, pro-Guelphs and pro-imperial. And just to point out, every international organization gives different bonuses and penalties for both leadership and members. Keep that in mind. That's really important. That's literally what makes the international organizations extremely fun to play with, and one of the aspects of EU5 that really makes the game very much so replayable. Because, for example, here the Guelphs get these bonuses, but the Ghibellines get different bonuses, potentially. I don't know. I have no idea what bonuses the Ghibellines get, but clearly it's going to be something as well, right? Next up is situations, which, to make it very concise, if you've played Victoria 2, it's kind of like the tensions system where certain things are likely to happen or scripted to happen in some cases, right? So for example, the Black Plague is a situation unto itself. The Shadow Kingdom is a situation. The 100 Years' War is a situation. These are basically bigger events that have scripted parts to them, and based on what choices you make during those scripted parts, you have different outcomes and quite a lot of outcomes as well. We have an example here, the Namboku Chojidai, which is the starting situation in 1337. After the fall of the Kamakura shogunate, we have the Kenmu restoration, which lasted for a whole year, basically. And the country is essentially divided between two courts, north and south. The end result historically was the Ashikaga became the new shogunate, and the emperor became again a figurehead for a long time until the Meiji restoration, right? But who knows? Maybe the situation is going to play out differently in your game. That's why the situation is there, to give you options and lead you down whichever path you want, be it historical or less so historical. Again, this makes the game extremely replayable. Then we have disasters. Disasters are situations but are bad, to put it that way. We have the crisis of the Yuan dynasty, which the Yuan start with here as an example. They get some horrible modifiers: war exhaustion, inflation, rebel growth. So it's pretty much a guarantee that they're going to have to go through a very serious civil war or multiple civil wars in the campaign. And we have the terms here that are required for triggering or canceling the disaster. Basically, we have a similar system in EU4, but this is just a little bit more advanced than the one in EU4 is. Events, of course, copy paste EU4. We have one event shown over here: invite German settlers. Due to plague and war, our country is mostly depopulated, and we have the option inviting German settlers. We have three options, actually, not two, three. We can welcome them, we can help them to settle directly, so you can choose the exact location where they're going to be settling, or we don't need more foreigners where you just don't allow them to come. This is something that can pop up. You probably, I'm just assuming, again, I have no idea. This is just me 100% assuming, okay? You might have the ability to invite different ethnic groups, not just German. This is just a placeholder. There's going to be like invite Romanian settlers everywhere. The whole game's going to be Romanian settlers, okay? Or hey, you might have invite American settlers in Greenland. Who's to say, right? Now we also have government reforms, again copy pasted from EU4. This is the Anatolian Beylik government reform, which the Ottomans start with, and other Beyliks in Anatolia, and eventually they're gonna have more unique Beylik upgrades, obviously, like in EU4. Not gonna mention because it's pretty self-explanatory. The bonuses are of course different. So we see here cabinet seats +1. Cabinet seats +1 is huge, actually, because your cabinet members are the most important thing in EU5. You use your cabinet members to assimilate cultures, to convert people, to do everything. So the more cabinet members you have, the easier it's going to be to control your country and do more actions that improve your situation. It's exactly the same like CK3 for that matter. You know how in CK3 you can use your is it called cabinet? I forgot. I'm gonna call them cabinet members anyway. You use them to convert, increase development, etc. It's the same thing, exactly same. Laws and policies, again similar to EU4, but there are some differences. There's 5 categories now instead of 3: admin, religious, socio-economic, estate, and military. And these are very self-explanatory, and you see here for each of the laws you have available a certain amount of laws based on what advances you might have at that particular time, what age it is, etc., what country you are, because some countries might get unique laws that other countries don't get. We have an example here: order of chivalry, implementing policy, order of the band, noblemen, levy size +10% because they have got chivalry order. Estates privileges, again identical to EU4, so we don't need to wait for years for this content to arrive like we did for EU4. There was no estates at the start, remember that. We see one particular privilege here. We get population promotion speed reduction, but we do get monthly progress for aristocracy, okay? And it also gives loyalty +5% and influence +10% for the particular estate. Advances is a fancy word of saying technology. Now there are a lot of unique technologies for different culture groups, for different countries. Individual countries might have unique ones, regions maybe. So we have here, for example, the Epic of Sundiata tells the legendary campaign of Sundiata Keita, the founder of the Mali Empire and hero of our nation. So this is a starting advance from Mali, where they get morale of armies +10%, which is actually huge, and only Mali has this. There you go. That's a country specific advance. That's beautiful to see right there. Also makes me think that from a modding perspective, this game is going to be absolutely insane from the get-go. You got to remember, guys, this is Johan's love project, and he's really putting everything into this because he doesn't want to see a remake of Imperator Rome. He wants to make a game that everyone's going to be in love with, and I think he is spot on. I'm already in love with this game. I haven't even played it yet, right? Now we have the Parliament parliament, which has the parliament agendas and the parliament issues. We have an example here, the Presbyterian Education Act, which is a unique one. Again, mentions that we have unique and adapted to the situations experienced by different countries. Basically, the agendas and the issues. That's what I'm talking about here. Different bonuses, and these are the changes that will happen in your society, the value changes should the debate pass in the parliament, or what happens if it fails. You also lose 7 stability. That's huge. That's actually really, really bad. Stability is really important in EU5, from what I gather. The works of arts are something that we've recently seen. Basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's literal physical works of art within the game that are randomly created, or you can put a little bit of effort into getting some artists to create them for you, and they will give different bonuses. The game doesn't rely on stockpiling modifiers like EU4 does, right? It will have different modifiers from different mechanics, like the work of art will bring in some modifiers, the advances will bring in some modifiers, etc, etc. Characters and artists, they've got their own unique traits and unique interactions. You have air selection, and we have, of course, characters will appear throughout the gameplay. So similar to how in EU4 you've got like Leonardo da Vinci and so on appearing right in the game. We have the example of the partition inheritance here, which is a succession law. These are the eligibility rules. They have to be children, male, either of the ruler or of your siblings if you don't have any kids yourself, and must be a part of the nobility estate, the characters themselves. And we have the partition for Bavaria, apparently Stefan von Wittelsbach, Ludwig Wilhelm Albrecht, and Skibidi, I think, was the 5th one, but they just didn't have space to put him in. Trust me, bro. Skibidi was the one that actually won eventually, historically. Now, the buildings is where it gets really juicy, guys, because buildings, there's a lot of them, okay? There's really a lot of them. Johan's been dishing out buildings every other Saturday, and it's insane how many we already seen, and there's probably a lot more still, which we have yet to see. There's likely hundreds of types of buildings in this game. It is crazy. And also, we have unique buildings, like we have the Versailles, which is shown over here, and each of these buildings, by the way, give unique bonuses themselves. This is what the requirements are for the Versailles to produce what they're producing. In this case, they produce cultural tradition and cultural influence, 0.5 of each. They have a requirement of 500 people. This is how long it takes to construct, 360 days, which is 1 year. How much it costs in gold, 500, as well as how much it costs in resources to build the Versailles. And I'm assuming you'll be able to build the Versailles after you've unlocked a certain technology later in the campaign, as cultural tradition and influence is a lot more important later in the campaign than earlier, as well as it was built later in time, not at the start. It was not built in 1337, right? Now, units, again, we have standard units, but we also have unique units. So we have an example of the elephant cavalry, which still have a horse in the image there. I am deeply disappointed. I cannot play this game because the elephant cavalry has a horse image instead of there's no flavor in this game. Clearly, I'm totally disappointed right now, but I am sure that this is going to be changed before the game gets released, right? Look at these stats though. So they require quite a lot of leather, cloth, elephants, and weaponry for construction, and then for maintenance they require basically half of that, or a little bit less, 10% in the case of elephants. Maintenance, so after you've built the unit, you need to make sure you have the resources to maintain it. It also has 1 monthly manpower maintenance, and these are the characteristics: combat power, frontage, food storage, speed, initiative, flanking ability, as well as we have combat performance and terrain impact. That's completely new, by the way. Elephants do be enjoying some jungles from what I can tell here, and we also see that it is a type of cavalry available to Indian countries. I would say that it also should be available to Southeast Asian countries like Siam. They also had elephant cavalry, right? Even North Africans maybe should have the possibility of importing them maybe and using, I don't know. Ships, because unlike CK3, EU5 will have ships, and there's unique ships like the Catalan galley available to the Catalans, like the Aragonese. Holy mother, 12 sailors, that is huge. Cabinet action. So cabinet, guys, is essentially how you do everything in your country. Your cabinet members will be your most important characters, in my opinion, and getting cabinet members that have high skills is very, very important. Keep that in mind. Now we see here one of the actions that is unique to the Swedes is to colonize the northern parts of Sweden, basically the Sami and the Finnish lands, with Finnish and Swedish settlers. It gives migration attraction, development, development and population growth. Diplomatic features, we got diplomatic actions, casus belli, peace treaties, subject types, and subject interaction. It's basically copy-paste EU4, and I am pretty sure they added some new ones we've seen in the previous dev diary, where not only do we have all or most of the interactions that we have in EU4, but we also have some new juicy ones, like demand Samantha status. Samantha Carter from Stargate? Which Samantha are we talking about here? Orisa? Obviously a type of subject, by the way. You see here that we cannot make Orisa a Samantha, because the relation is no bueno. The reasons to accept are minus 397. There's definitely a lot of reasons, including different religion, primary culture, border distance, etc. If it reaches one more positive than negative, then they can become a Samantha. Even you can become a Samantha if you subscribe to the channel. Or I'm sending Betsy to lick your face as well. You heard it. You heard it here first. Religious features. We have unique flavor for religions from day one. Again, no need to wait for a DLC, boys. Ibadi, for example, is one of the religious schools, and it offers population growth 0.10, and we also see how it views other religions, or better yet other schools in this case. Pavia mentions that the first topic he wants to address is modifier inflation. Yes, we have a bunch of modifiers in the game, as it's not possible to unlock other content features or more mechanical flavor with our content assets. However, we're trying to limit the number of modifiers that you can stack. In general, Project Caesar is a game where you get less stacking of modifiers and more interacting with different mechanics, and I'm super happy to see this is the path they're going down one. Also mentions we're gonna talk about missions soon. Now again, I've never played the game. I'm just 100% basing this off of what I've read in the dev diaries and what I know about Johan and the dev team. I personally think they're going to copy paste the mission tree from Imperator Rome, where you have a mission tree, and then once you can finish that mission tree, you get other options for new mission trees, and you select one of those new mission trees and you do a new mission tree and so on. Now, Johan mentioned in the comment section that right now 60 nations have fully scripted content and unique content. So that means that these 60 nations likely have unique mission trees from day one of launch, but that also means the other 10 million nations that we have in the game likely don't have these unique missions and just generic mission trees. So that's likely what we're going to see from DLCs in the future, in my opinion. Again, 100% my opinion. I have no inside info. I have no idea. I'm just guessing, obviously. But if it is like this, I am very happy with that. I feel like Imperator Rome's mission tree system is the best out of all the grand strategy games released so far from Paradox. And I suspect this is how they're going to do it, because Johan really loves Imperator Rome, and I also know that he really loves the mission tree in Imperator Rome. And one of the things that everybody that has played Imperator Rome from the beginning is that they all love the mission tree. So he's got really good positive feedback on that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he used the mission tree system from Imperator Rome. That's all for me. I gotta go back to Betsy. Love y'all, and I'll see you in the next one.